Hi everybody. Today we're going to be talking about some verbs that don't follow all of the rules, although they do follow a set of their own rules, which is actually kind of nice because you can always predict what they're going to do. So, if you haven't seen the German with Puppets video that goes with this, go ahead and click that button up there at the top. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get started. First of all, these are called irregular verbs, or sometimes called stem-changing verbs. They are only irregular in two forms, and it is beautiful because you don't have to think about it too much. The first category that we have takes an A to A umlaut change, and the examples that I've given here is fahren and gefallen. So in the fahren example, we would say I drive, you drive, and so on in English, and the German version here is ich fahre, du fährst, sie es fährt, wir fahren, ihr fahrt. Oh, stop it. Quit giggling. Sie fahren. You'll notice that the only thing that actually changes in any of this, normally we just drop the en and add E-S-T-T-E-N-T-E-N. If that's the case, everything else there is normal. The only thing that actually matters here is that the du and RZS forms will change and take an umlaut instead of just an A. Now for gefallen, most of the time you're just going to see the RZS or the Z plural form, but there are some instances when you might see the du form, but most of the other conjugation forms here for gefallen are kind of pointless. I'm just giving this as an example of how to conjugate it, so for those of you who are like, why'd you conjugate gefallen? I've never seen ich gefalle. Well, that's probably true, but this is the conjugation example. So anyway, ich gefalle, du gefällst, sie es gefällt, wir gefallen, ihr gefällt, sie gefallen. You'll notice again that it only takes the umlaut in the du and RZS forms, and it doesn't take that for the ear form, which a lot of people will mistake and try and put an umlaut there. At any rate, this is mostly used again with only the RZS form or the Z plural form. There are a few instances when I've seen somebody use the du form for this, but again, it means to please or to be pleasing to someone. It's kind of the backwards way of using to like. For those of you who are like a little bit familiar with Spanish, there is the word Gustar, and that one uses the same type of pattern in German or in Spanish as it does in German. Also, fair warning, gefallen is also a dative verb, which means that it takes a dative object, and that dative object is basically what we would have as the subject in English. So what I'm telling you is gefallen is not irregular just because of the stem change here. It's also irregular because it's just a weird verb that takes a dative thing for no apparent reason, which is going to come up here in about, 6 more videos or so. The next version of a stem change that we have is an E to an I change, and I gave you the examples of geben and essen. Geben takes an I there where it has an E before the stem there, so we have geben changing to ich gebe, du gibst, sie es gibt, wir geben, ihr gebt, sie geben. Again, the only thing that happens is the du and RZS form take an I instead of an E. Everything else is perfectly regular. Geben, by the way, means to give. Essen is to eat. And, of course, we have an I in the du and RZS forms, so the conjugation becomes ich esse, du isst, sie es isst, wir essen, ihr esst, sie essen. So you'll notice a couple of things. The du form does not add an extra S because we already had 2 S's, and so that makes the du and the RZS form actually the exact same thing, and they both take that stem change of an I. For those of you who are a little bit worried about whether or not you're speaking out loud and people are confused about essen versus sein, because, it would be the es ist, so he is eating or he is the same sentence. There isn't really a difference as far as pronunciation, so context is basically the only way that you can tell. Also, that's one of the few cases where the accusative case actually comes in handy, and you can tell a huge difference as far as what is meant by the sentence based on what verb you used and which accusative case you used, and so on. So for instance, if you want to say he is a dog, you would say ist ein Hund. If you want to say he is eating a dog, slightly creepier, you would say ist einen Hund. That's one of the few cases where the accusative case comes in handy. The third category that we're going to be talking about today is an E to an IE change, and that is in the verbs sehen and lesen. So for sehen we have ich sehe, du siehst, sie es sieht, wir sehen, ihr seht, Sie sehen. Again, notice that we have an IE in the do form and the er sie es form. Sehen means to see. Lesen is the verb to read, and so we have here ich lese, du liest, er sie es liest, wir lesen, ihr lest, sie lesen. Again, notice that we have the do and er sie es form with the IE stem change, and also that the do and er sie es forms are the same because of that S rule that we had before, where we didn't add an extra S for the do form. In section 2, we're supposed to write in the form of each of these verbs based on what the subject is. So basically, conjugate the verb, throw it into the sentence. So the first one here, it says, Du gern Spargel. Do you like to eat asparagus? So we have to have the do form. Since do is in the sentence, it has to be the subject. And so we use here ist. I-S-S-T. Isst du gern Spargel? Do you like to eat asparagus? Nummer 2. Du mit dem Bus zur Schule. Do you drive with the bus to school? In this sentence we have do again, so we have to use the do form, so that would be du fährst. So we have fährst du mit dem Bus zur Schule? Do you ride the bus to school? Nummer 3. Dir meine Hose. This is where we get some weird stuff with gefallen. First of all, dir is not the subject. Dir is the dative case form of du, and so we have to have here the other thing in the sentence as our subject. That means that meine Hose, my pants, is the subject. Hose, however, is a singular noun as opposed to die jeans, which is a plural noun. So we have to use the singular form here for gefallen, which is the er sie es form. Gefällt dir meine Hose? Do you like my pants? Nummer 4. Dir meine neuen Schuhe. Here we have the same thing. Dir is the dative case, which means that the other thing is the subject. Meine Schuhe is the subject, which is also a plural noun, and so we have to use here the plural form, gefallen dir meine neuen Schuhe? Do you like my new shoes? Dir meine Socken is also plural, so we have to use here gefallen again for this one. Meine Socken are my socks, and dir is still the dative case form, so it's not the subject. Gefallen dir meine Socken? Nummer 6. Dir mein Hut. Mein Hut is the subject in this one, and that one is also a singular noun, and so we use here again the er sie es form, gefällt dir mein Hut. Nummer 7. Out of the examples of gefallen, now we have sehen. Du oft fern. Here we have the do form because do is in the sentence, which makes it the subject, so we have to have the do form, siehst. Siehst du oft fern? Do you watch television often? Nummer 8. Der Junge, blank, mein Mittagessen. We want to say the boy is eating my lunch. So in this form we need the er sie es form, isst. Der Junge isst mein Mittagessen. Now if you're a cannibal, you would write that with one S, and that would be the boy is my lunch. Slightly different, a little creepy, whatever. Die Kinder something nicht gern Karotten. The children do not like to eat carrots. In this case we have the children, which is plural, so we use essen. Die Kinder essen nicht gern Karotten. Nummer 10. Ich, blank, liebe Kuchen. I prefer to eat cake. Ich esse lieber Kuchen. I prefer to eat cake. Nummer 11. Ich, blank, jeden Morgen zur Schule. Ich is in the sentence, which makes it the subject because ich is always the subject, so we have here ich fahre. Ich fahre jeden Morgen zur Schule. I drive every morning to school. Mein Bruder, something, fast immer nur Krimis. My brother almost always reads nothing but detective stories. My brother is the subject, so we have to use here the er sie es form, which is liest. Mein Bruder liest fast immer nur Krimis. Mein Vater, something mir nicht zum Weihnachten. My father is not giving me anything for Christmas. Or my father is giving me nothing for Christmas. 'Cause I ain't been nothing but bad. So we need the er sie es form here again, so we say gibt. Mein Vater gibt mir nichts zum Weihnachten. Meine Tochter, blank, mein kleines Pony im Fernsehen gern. My daughter likes to watch My Little Pony on television. Meine Tochter is the subject, so we use here the er sie es form, sieht. Meine Tochter sieht mein kleines Pony im Fernsehen gern. Nummer 5. Meine Nachbarn, blank, nie fern. My neighbors never watch television. In this sentence we have sehen again, and so we use here the plural form, sehen. Meine Nachbarn sehen nie fern. Nummer 16. Was, something, du deinem Vater zum Geburtstag. Du is always the subject, so we have to use here the du form, which is gibst. Was gibst du deinem Vater zum Geburtstag? What are you giving your father for his birthday? Nummer 17. Was blank du lieber, einen Krimi oder ein Drama? What do you prefer to read, a detective story or a drama? In this case, we need the du form again. Liest. Was liest du lieber, einen Krimi oder ein Drama? Nummer 18. Viele Leute blank gern per Anhalter durch die Galaxies. Many people like to read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Many people is plural, so we use here lesen. Viele Leute lesen gern per Anhalter durch die Galaxies. Nummer 19. Wir blank meiner Mutter eine Halskette zum Geburtstag. Wir is the subject because it's always the subject, otherwise it becomes uns, and so we use here the wir form of geben, geben. Wir geben meiner Mutter eine Halskette zum Geburtstag. We are giving my mother a necklace for her birthday. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you understand these things a little bit more now. If you want to see more videos, go ahead and click on some of those links up there. And if you want to subscribe to this channel, go ahead and do that. Thanks for watching. Bye now.